52 days ago, I launched a free 90-day reset. I thought I was creating accountability for other people. What I did not expect was how much accountability was going to create in my own life. So, I am Merle-Tracey Galloway, thought architect and transformational coach. And today I want to share with you what the last 52 days have actually looked like. What I'm going to share is not the polished version, but the real one, the one that shows actually what happened within the last 52 days. So when I created the reset, the intention was simple. I wanted to create a space where people could stop waiting for the perfect moment and start making small but intentional decisions that would result in a completely different life after the 90 days. It wasn't about making anything making a dramatic decision, nothing dramatic like that. What I was simply doing was just daily architecture. So 46 people joined. Every day I have shown up with different prompts, reflections, conversations, and I would also do weekly live calls, right? And in many ways, it has been exactly what I hoped it would be. I've watched people become more aware, more honest, more intentional. I've watched people begin questioning stories they've carried for years. But what surprised me most was what started happening within myself. I think part of me believed that because I was leading the reset, I would naturally stay on track and that accountability would be automatic. That by me showing up for others, somehow it would make everything easier for myself, right? But it didn't. What I found actually happened was that the reset started shining light on those places within myself where I was still negotiating with me, places where I wasn't fully following through. And so places where what it showed me were places where I knew better, but I still wasn't doing better. One example I could share is distraction. And it's not the obvious kind, it's the subtle kind. The kind where I would think, let me just watch one more video or one more scroll won't matter. One more day of not doing anything won't matter, until I realized that those tiny decisions were actually quietly pulling me away from the life that I was wanting to design and the life that I wanted for myself. And so going through that experience was actually quite humbling. It was quite humbling for me because one of the things I teach is that our life is built from a blueprint. Your thoughts, your habits, and your standards and your decisions as well. And what I've been reminded of over the last 52 days, that even the architect, me, even the architect sometimes discovers part of the blueprint that actually still needs building. And for me, that wasn't a failure, right? It's just part of the work. And the work doesn't stop because I'm leading it. It's what the shift is actually about. And here is actually what shifted for me. I've become more intentional about my routine. I've become more consistent with the things that support me, like for instance, my meditation, movement, taking time out to go to the beach, and actually resting when I feel tired. And that last one has been the biggest lesson because I'm actually a recovering workaholic. For years, I believed that pushing harder was the answer, was working harder, doing more. I thought that if I kept going, that was the answer. But what I'm learning is that being in alignment often requires listening to my body instead of pushing, pushing, pushing. And what I'm doing now, why I'm doing these isn't because someone told me to, but I've started paying closer attention to what actually helps me to feel grounded, clear, and aligned. And that's the difference between actually knowing something and actually living it. And most people, we know what to do, we know what we need to do, but very few people actually build their life around actually doing those things. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm still navigating all of this myself every single day. And, it's not every day that foul, feels powerful. Not every day has had the engagement I would have hoped for. Not every post that I posted landed, but there were moments when I actually thought that I was wondering, is what I'm saying having impact? Are people actually paying attention? And those moments made me question what I was thinking, moments where I had to practice exactly what I encourage other people to do, to show up anyway, and to keep going, and to trust the process, because here's what I know about transformation. It does not happen in the moment that feels powerful. It happens in those moments where you keep going when it doesn't. So we have 38 days left. And I have a feeling that the next 38 days are going to be some of the most important of the entire reset. Not because suddenly everything's become easier, but because this is the point where most people either recommit or they quietly drift away. And I'm deeply interested in what happens when we choose to recommit, not just to a challenge, not just to a goal, but to ourselves. And if you are in your own messy middle right now, and if you want, if you're thinking about doing a reset, I want you to know something. You do not need to have it figured out. You just need to keep going. You need to just continue going and be consistent. And over the next few days, I'll be sharing more of this journey right here, the unfiltered version, the real conversations, the lessons from coaching while going through and doing the work on myself. If you would like to join inside the free event before it closes on July 12th, the link will be in the description. We have 38 days left. It's not too late. So what I'd like you to do is design your life and design it on purpose. Thank you.